Welcome in. This is Soccer Disruptors here on Morning Kickaround. I'm Robert Kerr in the middle, my partner Jason Davis, and on the far side, the commissioner, Midwest Premier League, Duncan Riddle, just completed his first year in the role, and this was the fifth year for Midwest Premier League action. Welcome to Morning Kickaround, sir. How you feeling?
Good morning, Rob. Finally, we get to meet. It's taken us some time, but thank you. And
yeah, we've been trying to work with Duncan to get him on pretty much throughout the summer soccer season, but we finally done it. But there's still plenty to talk about. I guess first year in the chair. How did the 2025 Midwest Premier League season go, and how did it treat you?
Yeah, as always, at this level of soccer, there's a lot of highs and then there's a lot of lows. We had some issues with teams, but we got through it. The season was good. Some good soccer being played, and we got through another year.
I guess that at this level in American soccer, that is a success. So congratulations, Duncan. You got through the year. I do think this is an opportunity. I mean, one thing that we want to do on Morning Kickaround is educate American soccer fans, especially new ones, to sort of what the landscape looks like. It is extremely complicated. It's really hard to hold it all in your head sometimes. But let's talk about what role the Midwest Premier League plays in sort of our very complicated American soccer system. What kind of league is it? When does it play? What kind of players do you have? What kind of clubs do you have, Duncan? I know that's a lot, but help us out.
Yeah, no, sure. So for those who don't know, this level has grown a lot in the last. I came to America in 2011, and so I've seen the growth exponentially grow at this level. You're finding teams that in smaller towns, smaller cities that are actually developing into good, sustainable clubs, which is amazing. I think that model has really taken off. A lot of people will be, familiar with like the Chattanooga and the Detroit, right? I mean, Detroit about to build a new stadium. They started at this level, right? They started this. Get some people into a high school stadium and get some soccer going, and then they've grown into that. So there's been a lot of replication of that across the country. So we are trying to provide the platform for those groups to come and play. We are still a summer league, summer based right now, which has been traditional at this level. So you got a lot of college players, but we've got players outside of that age band now too, so slightly older as well. So provide that platform. We've grown from a couple of states. We've moved. We're in Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan, as you can see, is pretty hot for us. Indiana, and then we're starting to move west. Missouri.
I think you guys are going to answer that question of what is the Midwest at this point.
Yes.
Nobody's exactly sure. Yes. But hey, follow the map of the Midwest Premier League and you get a sense. You can see the conferences there. That is a nice little thumbnail sketch here, Duncan.
That's nice. I like that.
Yeah, I also read, and you can see it on the About page over. This is the text from the About page on the Midwest Premier League website, which is very nice, by the way. The clubs that founded the league, it talks about previously members of the United Premier Soccer League Midwest Conference. Now, that's still a going concern. United Premier Soccer League, UPSL, they play on a slightly different schedule. There's some other things going on there. Yep. I guess I would ask, why would these clubs, and I know you've only been commissioner for a year and this predates your time, but why would these clubs say, what we need to do, we need to form our own thing, and we need to be regional, or we need to do this in a different way?
Yeah, it comes down to the basics, as always. It comes down to cost, I think. They want, for their fan base, because some of these clubs have a good fan base, they just want highly competitive games, but at a minimal amount of cost. Now, as you know, travel costs a lot of money, and I think we have all these different conferences. We don't have a championship, so we don't even travel we don't get like the Gateway Conference doesn't come across to play Heartland, right? So we're limiting that travel, so it just takes that little bit of cost away. So we're trying to make it as effective as possible, so they get good competitive matches, but at a cost base that's manageable, I think. And so, whereas a lot of the other national leagues, UPSL, MPSL, league for clubs now. Eventually, if you're successful, you're going to have to travel to become the national champion, and yeah, that's a big step. If there's no financial support from the league, which is always tough to get. So.
Yeah, with Michigan being a hotbed, I've been fortunate enough to be involved. I've gotten to commentate on a number of games for the last couple of years for teams in Michigan. I've gotten to go to a couple previous all AGM meetings, so to speak, and I've always enjoyed the kind of the for us by us nature. A club start or a league started by clubs and kind of run by the clubs by a board. One of the questions I do have, though, it was brought up at an AGM a couple years ago, and there's mention of it on the Midwest Premier League website of Project 2030. There's not too many specifics listed there, and then since that was announced, the USL has announced some things about promotion and relegation and whatnot. But can you kind of explain to us what Midwest Premier League's Project 2030 is and how you're kind of working?
Yeah, I mean, really is kind of a growth to see where we could grow, which other states, and can we get more teams in some of those Western states, like in Omaha, in Missouri, to try to, bring the distances down. So some of that. And then if we had enough teams, what would promotion and relegation look like? Is that something that we could do, one, for the competitive element of the league, right? And then balancing that, but is there a commercial value to that eventually? So, yeah, it's kind of like that. The promotion relegation piece is kind of in that 2030 plan as well. If you had a ton of teams, then you're trying to competitive balance. Can you get a division that's highly competitive with the teams that are not quite as competitive? Because that's always tough,
Yeah, Duncan. One of the things I think is a difficult thing to get a handle on is sort of where, and I guess this is unique to individual clubs and individual owners and things like that. And sometimes I imagine there's an escape velocity that kind of happens with certain clubs. And to cross pollinate here, but we've just spent time talking about Vermont Green and and clubs like Hickory FC just won the NPSL championship. And there are clubs that have, gone from sort of smaller summer league operations. In almost every case, they don't pay their players because they're college kids getting games, and then something happens and they capture the attention of the community. And then it's a question of, what do we want to be, right? Do we want to stay where we are, or do we want to take that commercial step and become something bigger? I mean, you mentioned Detroit City. Obviously, they're an exemplar for this, as is Chattanooga. Is that the goal for your clubs? I mean, I'm sure you have owners that are talking about that kind of stuff, but what is like the cross section of ambition?
Yeah, we got all of them, right? So, yeah, we have clubs with ambition to probably get to that. I don't want to speak to them, but we have Chicago House, for instance, in our league that dabbled with the professional piece at one time. I wouldn't want to speak to them, but I think they are.
Well, shout out to Peter Wilt. He is. We've been talking about some of the things he's written and talked about. So definitely Peter Wilt is as a Chicago House.
He is ambitious, right? And so Peter, I think, would want to. His vision would be to get to that sort of level. There's other clubs in our league who are more than happy just to be a summer league for local college kids that come back to live in their town, for the summer. So we got that. Yeah, we've got all of them. The Vermont Green is really interesting because I'm working still in sport in a different industry now, and the guy that does my marketing actually lives in Burlington, and he's been going to the games. So I sent him a message I texted him last week and said, "You do know that the the Vermont Green baseball cap is trending on GQ magazine."
Wow.
He's like, "You must be kidding me." And that's so
wow.
Cool. Yeah, so that's the reach of soccer at this level, right?
Let me follow that up. Vermont again, escape velocity, getting written up by the Guardian and all these things. We've been talking about. I guess I would ask you, is there a kit? Is there a plan? Is there a key to unlock that kind of thing? I mean, is it within the control of the club and by extension the owners, because they're putting their money in to do a Vermont Green? Or is that a unique set of circumstances that are sort of ineffable in the way that it all comes together, particularly in this country?
That's a difficult one. I think there could be a kit because it depends. It's something. It's location. It's almost like restaurants. It's location, location, location.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
If you can just build that community in your location where you are, I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know the Vermont Green guys, so I don't know if they were really strategic in their planning or whether it just exploded. I don't know. But whereas like Chattanooga started, but then they soon realized they had something special, right? And so then they did put a plan together to maximize what they had. Detroit, obviously, the same. I mentioned those two clubs because I know them a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I think there is for certain. If you're an entrepreneurial business guy, yes, I think, and you pick it's picking the right location. I think you can grow something pretty substantial.
So the Midwest Premier League has 6 divisions, 3 conferences, 45 teams here in 2025.
Yeah.
So that's a whole lot. And we don't want to get too sidetracked, but if we should have a badge and kit segment later. So maybe you guys can send us some graphics of that. We can do a segment on evaluating the kits and the badges. Because one of the additional things I really like about Midwest Premier League is there's some like really long-standing legacy ethnic clubs like the Bavarians and Adria and teams like that. But there's also it's also a place for teams to form, almost like an incubator. Teams popping up all over the place. And even one of the mainstays, Lansing Common, was a place that allowed fans that had been scorned by multiple teams, like forming and leaving, that they were able to start their own, and it was a place for them to do that. But before we run out of time, one of the things I really want to ask you about was the connection that Midwest Premier League made with the league for clubs, and how does that relationship work?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a cordial relationship right now of, okay, if that league grows and becomes the national, a solid national platform, then the ambitious clubs with us, that might be a natural step for them to take into that league. And then vice versa, if there's clubs in their league that go, you know what, this is maybe a little stretch for us, then they could, then come back to Midwest Premier League, to our level. So that's kind of it's a small world, soccer, right? Everyone knows each other, and so we know the guys there, they know us. We have a great relationship. We know, from all different connections, we all know each other very well, and so that's kind of where we're at right now. Obviously, they've just completed their first season, right, or about to complete their first season, and so it's kind of like, okay, it's a wait and see. Let's see where that develops, and then our relationship will develop depending on where they go, I think. But that's the broad 30,000 foot is, okay, if we've got an ambitious club and you got this national platform, that's, hopefully that might be the natural step for them, or come back down to us. Yeah.
I've got another big question for you. It might be a little early in your tenure for this after just having done the one season, but since talking about USL's move to add promotion relegation in the future, and whenever we kind of dip into talking about the expansion of USL League One, which is essentially the lowest level of the professional game, we get tons of comments and questions of like, we need regionalization and this can't realistically work, because how can League One teams fly across the country and this and that? Do you think that Midwest Premier League and leagues in your same sort of niche are maybe forming that regional network at the base of the new American soccer pyramid?
Yeah, I mean, we're the start of that. I mean, as you know, the problem with promotion relegation in this country is just the geography of the country. You have to remember, we're not talking about a country, we're talking about a continent. So, coming from Europe, like in England, I lived in Birmingham, which is right in the middle. We had thousands of teams, like within an hour's drive. So that's how it survives. Now, what's happening is we've got ourselves growing as other leagues like us on the East Coast, the West Coast, as they start to go, you start to fill it, you're filling in the holes. So we're on that path, and we play part of that. Still some way to go, because it's always, even in the MLS, right? Like the distance to travel from New York to Los Angeles for a game is crazy.
Yep.
Definitely seems like we're in the sowing the seeds part of this whole journey.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. And that's why I say that's why I'm encouraged though, because I came in 2011. I actually came to manage USASA as the amateur governing body. So I've just seen the explosion of these entrepreneurial startup teams, like we're the incubator for that in Midwest Premier League. So yes, it's encouraging. It's coming. You think in another 10 years, how many more teams there could be out there? It's pretty cool, actually.
Exciting. Very exciting.
It is exciting. Yeah, it is exciting. It is.
And then, so I think that's about what we have time for with you, Mr. Riddle. Was there any news or anything like we should keep an eye out for moving forward now that we're in the off season for the Midwest Premier League?
No, I mean, this is our planning time now. Now it's kind of like everyone's like, take a deep breath. We got through this season, another season. Right. What do we do next? What's the next improvement that we can make? So that's kind of like for the board to start discussing it.
All right. So for something fun, what was the highlight of your first season as commissioner?
My highlight,
or just getting through it.
I don't know if it's a highlight or lowlight. It's actually seeing. It's kind of funny seeing how many actually yellow cards and red cards we actually get in at this level. I was actually shocked. And it's like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that shows you the competitiveness of the games, though, right? Like,
yeah, people care.
It's serious
on
stuff.
the field.
Oh,
that's what we need. And we need good referees too. I don't want to talk about. They don't have time to get into the referee situation, I imagine. But thank you, Duncan.
Thank you.
All right, Duncan, Midwest Premier League Commissioner. Thank you so much for joining us here on Morning Kick Around. Thank you for your time, sir.
Guys, thank you. Yeah, bye.
All right, viewers, if you enjoyed that segment or segments like it, hit subscribe and join in on the conversation here on Morning Kick Around. If you'd like to support farther than that, $3.99 gets you a channel membership. Become an MK Ultra. You get all sorts of perks, including priority membership, priority commenting on these live shows, morning Kick Around Discord server is a great place for lively American soccer conversation. You can follow us on social media at MKickaround on X, Instagram, and Blue Sky, or write us a note, morningkickaround@gmail.com. Some of the favorite messages I have, obviously we get a lot of Pro Rail manifestos and follow-up questions and stuff from interview segments like that. I like getting follow-up ones on those. So send your emails over. And then also, if you'd like to support in another way, Morning Kick Around is on coffee.com/morningkickaround.